gathered Vaishnavas, dear devotees. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Oh, Hare Krishna. Nice to see you all again. So many of you coming on such an important occasion. Well, they say that Baladev's appearance day is a very good day for praying. How many of you pray? How many of you pray in your own words? Easy to pray in someone else's words. When you pray in your own words, it's called improv. You're not working to a script. You're doing it on the spot. It's very good, isn't it? I don't know. Very good. Exercises the parts of the brains that other praying doesn't reach. So it's a good day to call out. How should we pray to Lord Balaram? With desperation and perspiration. Sometimes we pray, but we're very attached to getting it done, doing things mechanically, doing things ritualistically. But prayer can't come from here. It has to come deep down. Something has to come from deep down inside of us. We've got to be very unhappy with the level of spiritual progress that we're making. As soon as you're comfortable, you join a special organization that was formed not in 1966, but it formed at the beginning of time. It's called the International Society for Krishna Coziness. Okay? Not consciousness, but coziness. We get cozy. I have Krishna, I'm a devotee, I've got my name, I got my beads, that's it. I'm all set up now. Okay. International Society for Krishna Coziness. So occasionally, because we do get relaxed, we have days like today. And days like today, they inspire us because we have a beautiful dance that we've never seen before. Theatre inspires us, doesn't it? Because, usually our dull mind is, we find it hard to become immersed in the pastimes of the Lord, even though they're so full of fun. They're so full of excitement. They say if you want to start a really good Hollywood movie that's a blockbuster, you start it with a car chase. You ever seen a movie that starts with a car chase? Yeah? And an explosion? So what happens right in the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam? It's a car chase and an explosion. Because God knows how to tell stories. The car chase, who is it? Ashwatthama and the Lord. And the explosion is that old Brahmastra and the reduction of the Brahmastra by the power of the Lord. And there's, just like in the old silent movies, the lady would be tied to the train track, and the train was coming down the track. Would the hero of the hour be able to untie the lady? And that was the movie. So in the Bhagavatam we find that Uttara is giving shelter to her child, Parikshit. And the whole story of the Bhagavatam, of course, is Parikshit in the womb. Would she be saved? Would she be saved? Okay, so there's someone vulnerable that needs to be saved. There's someone who can't be saved because he's on the verge of death. There is a car chase, there's an explosion. So this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning of the Bhagavatam. So as soon as we enter into the Bhagavatam, it is almost like, as Prabhupada tells us, when you open up the pages of the book, you're entering into the story, not a book. If you think that the Srimad Bhagavatam or the Krishna book is paper and some ink, when Tulsi here was younger, she came to me with one of these little books they used to make. And it was made of a computer-generated, what looked like wallpaper, but it was a picture. And she said, "Daddy, can you see the dolphin?" I said, "No, I just see some squiggles on a page." She said, "No, you have to look." And I was looking like this, and I was looking sideways, looking like that, I was looking that way. I said, "No, you have to. And she told me the technique. The secret technique was not to look at the plane of the picture, but to focus your eyes on the distant horizon. When your eyes are focused on the horizon, then you lift it up and then bam, a three-dimensional dolphin jumps out of the page. So it's a little bit like that with reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. If you're looking at the page and you just see ink on paper, the next thing you'll see is your eyelids. You won't be able to stay awake if it's just paper and ink, because you've had a long, hard day. And we all know that you don't read the Srimad Bhagavatam in the morning, right? We save it for last thing at night, because that's what you do. Right? You read the Srimad Bhagavatam last thing at night. It's called the upside down life. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he said, don't read the Bhagavatam as if you would read a novel just before sleep. Because that means that you're training your mind to say, I'm reading this book and I'm going to fall asleep while I'm reading the book. Okay? So unfortunately what that happens is you do that often enough and you slip away. You know, they come to read the Bhagavatam to you when you're in your hospital bed and you're all hooked up with tubes. Don't let it get to that point. We need to read the Bhagavatam now, and we need to set aside time for it. It's called time management. Okay? A lot of people in New York, they know how to do time management. There's one thing we're meant to do. So when we do it in that way, we read with a prayerful attitude. We won't get the paper and the ink. We will open up the book, and the pastimes will flood our mind, and it's a wonderful thing. So here we are on Balaram's appearance day. We've come together to remember Balaram. And Balaram needs a little extra attention because we're the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, not Balaram consciousness. So sometimes if you're Kanishta Adhikari, you can only focus on one thing at a time, please. You can't, I don't do many gods. A person came to the temple, came to back to the Maharaj. They said, do you believe in many gods or one God? And I said, no, I believe in one God. I said, let me show you. Let me take you into the temple. So this is Krishna, and this is Radharani. This is Gora, and this is Nitai. This is Sita, Ram, Lakshman, and Hanuman. Okay, now do you get it? So in English language, the word deity means the one supreme being. However, for us, the deity can be represented in three-dimensional form, in stone or wood, like that. And we can access the divine plane while still in this plane. So in ISKCON language, because we are dealing with two, Radha and Krishna, Lakshmi Narayan, Sita Ram, we immediately don't talk about deity, we talk about deities. You see, which immediately takes the English language and sort of does this to it. Be careful when you're preaching. If you want to use an English word, make sure that the person who's speaking English is using the same word in the same way, otherwise it's difficult. So here we are, Balaram's appearance day. My dear friends, let me just read you something. I always like to begin Balaram's appearance day with this because we are Rupanugas, all of us. We are followers of Rupa Goswami. So let me tell you what Rupa Goswami said, and I would really like you, if you could kindly raise your hands to about there. It's called physical posture in aid of prayer. I'll read the prayer in English, a phrase at a time, and if you could feel it coming from your heart to your lips. And you have to, kids, you have to shout this as loud as you can, okay? Really, really loud. Let me take shelter.
Let me take shelter
Of the lotus feet of Balaram.
of the lotus feet of Balaram,
Whose beauty is enhanced.
whose beauty is enhanced
By the earrings.
by the earrings
Touching his cheeks.
touching his cheeks.
Okay, you can put your hands down because people who are older than 40, they can't do it. Kids, you can do it. You can do the movements if you want. His face is decorated with tilak.
His face is decorated with tilak,
Made from musk.
made from musk.
That's a little dear. And his broad chest
His broad chest
is decorated with a garland
is decorated with a garland
of of small conch shells.
of small conch shells.
His complexion is as white as an autumn cloud.
His complexion is as white as an autumn cloud.
He wears garments of blue color,
He wears garments of blue color.
and his voice is very grave.
And his voice is very grave.
His arms are very long,
His arms are very long,
touching his thighs.
touching his thighs.
And he has shown great strength
And he has shown great strength
by killing the Pralamba demon.
by killing the Balaram demon.
Let me take shelter
Let me take shelter
of this chivalrous
of this chivalrous
Balaram!
Balaram.
Oh, gosh. Are we all inspired now? So Srila Prabhupada explains who Lord Balaram is. A little bit of this we heard from His Holiness Ramapad Swami, who I must say stole some of my best lines last night. I had this all scripted and he just unashamedly just stole my lines. Maharaj, if you're watching, as you said you would, no problem. So Prabhupada says, Sri Baladeva is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. He is equal in supremacy to the Supreme Godhead. Yet wherever Krishna appears, Sri Baladeva appears as Krishna's brother, sometimes elder, sometimes younger. Next. In his Vaibhava Prakash feature, Lord Krishna manifests himself as Balaram. The Balaram feature is as good as Krishna himself, the only difference being that the bodily hue of Krishna is dark and Balaram is fair. Next. We get the philosophy over, then we'll go to the pastimes. Listen here. Sri Balaram is the servitor Godhead who serves Lord Krishna in all affairs of existence and knowledge. The transcendental abode, is all of the spiritual world, exists by the energy of Lord Balaram. Wow. The whole transcendental abode exists by the energy of Lord Balaram. Krishna's first expansion in a form for pastimes is Balaram. Balaram himself helps in the pastimes of Lord Krishna, and he does the work of creation in 4 other forms. So from Balaram comes the Chaturvyuha, Vasudev, Sankarsana, Aniruddha, and Pradyumna. From then come the Karvadakshay, Karanakshay, Karvadakshay, Shiradakshay, and also Paramatma. So we are talking, Balaram is practically doing everything. Isn't that amazing? Okay. So then Balaram himself helps in the pastimes of Lord Krishna. In all forms, Balaram tastes the transcendental bliss of serving Krishna. So Balaram expands as Sankarshan and is always a servant of the Lord. And as we heard last night, he expands as everything, every object that you can think of, every instrument of service to Krishna. So Maharaj is saying the shoes, but also the Balaram Mridanga and the kartals. The whisk of the Lord, the peacock fan that you were whisking last night, it is all gone. So therefore we are counseled never to lean against the wall in the temple. Did you know that? Except if you're over 50, then you can do whatever you like. Because the walls of a temple are... Oh my God. What happens? You know what they say, the walls have ears? The walls in the temple have ears because the walls are... Oh. The cartels are...
Balaram.
The mridanga is...
Balaram.
This microphone is...
Balaram.
Oh. This world is an expansion of Balaram. So here's the thing. In order to serve someone, you often take the opposite position. If you want to serve someone if they're sitting down at a table and they're eating, you're not eating. You're doing the exact, in order to serve someone who wants to eat, you're doing the exact opposite. You can't eat at the same time as the person that you're serving eating. Okay, you have to serve. So if you're serving the Lord in other ways, we sometimes say we're doing serving the lotus feet of the Lord. So an ordinary person, you meet them eye to eye, don't you? You meet them in a business meeting, or you shake a person's hand. You meet them eye to eye. But as a servant, you're more interested in not meeting them eye to eye, but you're interested in making sure that they're happy in all respects. I want to walk into a hotel. I'm a big, important, rich man. I go to a 5-star hotel in New York, and what happens? I've got my bags. I don't take my bags in myself, but someone comes. I've never been in one of these hotels, so don't get me wrong. If someone comes and takes my bags, okay, he's serving. So in any area of service, you can see that a person is putting themselves in a position. There's only two things. There's enjoyment and there's service. So the enjoyment and service are completely opposed. And that goes for this entire plane. We live in a plane of exploitation. There's a plane of exploitation. As the song goes, some people want to use you, some people want to be used by you, some want to abuse you, some want to be abused by you. So we live in a plane of exploitation. Basically speaking, everything we see, touch, taste, we are trying to exploit in some way, because I am the center of the universe, and everything else and everybody else is here to help me reach my goals in some way. And this leads to kind of a chaotic situation, because you can get your goals met much better if you work together. But if you can only work together, just like players on a field, you can only work as a team if you care more about the team scoring a goal, or scoring a touchdown, or scoring a home run, than you yourself being the star of the show. If you are the center and you think more about you scoring, then the team suffers. So it's like that in an organization, it's like that in a temple community. We can get more done when we work together. So working together means immediately you have to remove yourself as being the center. You're no longer the center, but the team is the center. You see, then you can put on a good festival, then you can create a temple. It's team, team, team. Okay? Together, everyone achieves more. Team. So the same way is we rise in Krishna consciousness. By, first of all, intellectually understanding that we're not the center of the universe. Okay, that may take a few lifetimes. In fact, Krishna says, after many, many thousands of lifetimes, we come to the point of understanding that we're not the center of the universe. And then we do something called Sharanagati. And Sharanagati, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, is you're standing at the front door of a house called Bhakti. The whole house is Bhakti, and there are many rooms, but first you have to go into the house. So how you enter the house, the threshold of the house is the doorstep that you walk through. That's called Sharanagati. So the first 2 points of Sharanagati, the first 2 points of the 6 points are that you accept now in your life everything that's favorable for serving Krishna. I don't really want to go through my life with 2 white stripes painted on my nose and my forehead. It's not really what I wanted. But we do it because it's favorable for Krishna's service. I don't really want to get up in the morning. Okay, I'd rather stay in bed a little longer. Okay. I still think that someone who could have imagined that getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning was a good idea should have really, examined that a little bit. Okay. I think I should start another church, the church of the latter day Hare Krishnas. We have different rules. You can get up whenever you want to get up. You go to sleep whenever you want to go to sleep. But unfortunately, the world, whichever way you look at the world, the sun rises and the sunset. Okay, swiftly pass the days. So you have to go with the flow, as they say. And there's a certain time of day that's much better for meditation. Meditation means to take the mind, it's just like you have those U-shaped steel utensils and you scrape them over your tongue. And what comes out is the results of all the meals that you had the day before. And in dreams, that's also the result of everything that you did the day before. So we get rid of dreams by taking not a tongue scraper, but a mind scraper. Okay? And as you go to India, and in the morning in India, you'll hear the dawn chorus. Okay? And it's not the birds. You go, the first time you go to India, you think, cicadas, tree frogs, maybe some cute furry creatures. But it's Grandpa in the bathroom. So we do the same thing with our mind as well. Okay, well, the instrument for cleaning the mind, because you've had that mind and you've been dreaming for 8 hours. 8 hours you've been roaming wild and free. You could have been dreaming about anger. But definitely the dreams that you've had have all been about you. And you're the hero. You're the center of the universe. You are Arnold Schwarzenegger, saving the world yet again. You are the hero. And then you wake up. And then you discover the reality. So we clean our mind in the morning, and the best time to clean the mind in the morning is before sunrise. So these rules don't change. And the nice thing is that the rules don't change. We're dealing with something which is quite ancient. So these are the first steps. We do things that are not because they're favorable to us, but because they're favorable to the Lord and our service to the Lord. We're trying to get back to where we once belonged, at the lotus feet of the Lord. So that means that we do things that are kind of upside down. The service that we do makes us sort of upside down people. We get up when everybody's going to sleep. Sometimes I stay overnight at our Soho Street temple in London. We're getting up at 4 o'clock. People are just coming back from parties at 4 o'clock. Sometimes they come from party to Mangalati. And they come in, they just come from a club, and we have a pounding Mangalati going, doo, 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 doo. They think, yeah, this is good, this is good. We're still going. So we get up when people are going to bed, and then what's the other one? We go to bed when people are just waking up. We eat things that people don't eat. We don't eat the things that they eat. And this is not for us. This is like we say to Fayakya, idam namama, idam namama. It's not for me. This is not for me. This is for someone else. Who now rules my life? But you've got to make that choice. And when we make that choice, then life changes. But before that time, we call it religion. When you make that choice to perform Sharanagati, it's called spirituality. It's different. Religion places you as the object of God's grace. Dear Lord, give me. Dear Lord, give me. And then spirituality places the Lord as the center of your life. Dear Lord, please accept this. What can I give you? So this is the difference. So Balaram and everything he does, he's serving the Lord. He's serving the Lord. Krishna's blackish, he's whitish. Here we go. Here's the opposites. So sometimes when Balaram comes, he's creating a situation which is the opposite of what Krishna wants. And I chose some examples. Here it is. For instance, Balaram tells tales on Krishna. He goes to Mother Yashoda and he tells that Krishna's been eating dirt. Okay? So here's Balaram creating a situation in which Krishna can now shine. Yes, he's telling stories about him, but Krishna comes and he opens his mouth Mother Yashoda sees the entire universe. Okay, so Balaram is creating a situation in which Krishna then can manifest his godness. Krishna doesn't return to Vrindavan, but Balaram does. He does return to Vrindavan. He does deal with Krishna's old friends. So when Balaram arranged the marriage of Subhadra to Duryodhana, Krishna arranged that Arjuna came to marry her, and Balaram opposed it. You see, everybody knows that when you're writing a script, for instance, for TV or film or theatre, there's got to be drama. Drama means conflict. It means that someone's sad, someone else is happy. Someone's bad, someone's good. Someone's late, someone's early. Someone's in this room, someone's in that room. Okay? Someone's funny, someone's, there's a funny guy and a straight guy. It's drama. Drama means that you get so much more of it because each one is accentuated. The straight man is accentuated because of the funny man. The funny man is accentuated in his ability to make you laugh because he's got a straight man. A funny man by himself is not so funny. A straight man is definitely not funny. But when you put them together, that creates drama. So Krishna by himself, maybe. Balaram by himself, maybe. But you put them together as Krishna, Balaram, and you have this combination. And 5,000 years later, we're still talking about this double act. We're still talking about Krishna and Balaram. Krishna wants to make war on the Kauravas. Balaram wants to make peace. Okay, it's drama. Oh, it's great, great script. Krishna praises Yudhishthira. Balaram was defending Duryodhana. And he goes on. So we talked last night of how Balaram is the son of Rohini, who was one of Vasudev's 16 wives. He was born in the house of Nanda Maharaj, where Rohini was also living. This place is in Gokula, which is in Mahabam. You can still go there, you can see it today. Nanda Maharaj's house is known today as Chaurasi Kumbha, or the place of 84 pillars. So we have so many stories of, some of which we heard last night, of Krishna and Balaram. It is said that every day before lunch, a demon would come. See, demons also enhance the drama. Demons come, they're dispatched, then the boys have lunch. Nanda Maharaj had an elder brother whose name was Upananda. And the father of those two was Parajanya Maharaj. So Balaram was the foster son of Nanda Maharaj, and therefore technically he was the grandson of Parajanya. So they went to live on top of a hill called Nandishwara before Krishna was born. Nanda went to Gokula and set up home. And when the demons were giving too much problem in Gokula, he went home to the hill of Nandishwara, now known as Nandagram. Actually, you can go to Nandagram today and they say, I met a man on Nandagram who was 115 years old, and he was looking after Nanda Maharaj's deity of Lord Nrsimhadev. So he used to worship Lord Nrsimhadev for protection, even to protect Krishna. So who are you going to worship? Who's the protector of everyone? Is Lord Nrsimhadev. So they would worship Lord Nrsimhadev in order to protect Krishna. To us it sounds not very theological. This is not theology, this is rasa. So it was from here, Nandagram, and they will still, if you talk to a pundit in Nandagram, they will still point out the long straight road from Nandagram to Mathura that Krishna and Balaram went on Akrura's chariot when the boys were 11, to the much, to great weeping on the part of the families. They had no knowledge of what would happen to the boys. And of course, you know that halfway, Akrura on his chariot, he was getting hot, so he went to have a bath, and in the water he saw Sheshanaga, and he saw the Lord reclining on Sheshanaga with leather snakes, and he thought this was very strange. And he came back and he saw the two boys in the water, saw the two boys on the chariot, and this was very strange. He was just becoming confused as to the actual identity of Krishna and Balaram. So many years ago I was able to, when I was young, and this was when, oh yes, I remember, it was Tulsi, wasn't it? Tulsi. Yeah. This was 1986. You were born? It was 88. There's a pilgrimage that you can take in Vrindavan called the Jurasi Kosh Vrindavan Yatra, and you take your shoes off as if you were entering a temple, and you don't put your shoes on for 1 month, from Purnima to Purnima. Yes, and in between you have to walk 128 miles, and anything that comes under your feet, you stand on that. And it is quite an experience, let me tell you. For a soft-footed Englishman to be walking on the roads and fields of Vrindavan. So from the shoulders upwards, I was in ecstasy. And from the shoulders down, I was suffering from acute pain. There's only one solution to that. You have to pray. And it just so happened that one day I'd had enough. I absolutely had enough. I couldn't go on. It was so painful, so hot. And besides that, the breakfast truck had broken down. And anybody that knows that I'm like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I'm one person with breakfast inside me, and I'm another person entirely without breakfast. So this is me without breakfast. Now I'd already been through a situation where on the third day you walk from Mathura to Shantanu Kund, and it's an 18-mile walk in the hot sun, and I had very little water. So I'm not a very athletic person, as you might have noticed. Even when I was in my 30s, I used to be. So then I was walking, and I'd done 16 miles that day. Are we okay with this story? It's a little bit of we'll come back to Balaram. So I looked up in the sky and I saw 7 vultures circling in the sky. It was like the cartoons, you know? The guy's going across the desert and there's a cactus growing on his toe and he's water. So I was really, really thirsty, never been more thirsty. And so I sat under a tree, bad move, sat under a tree. And if you sit under a tree in the hot sun, what happens? Well, being a devotee that gets up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, anywhere you sit, you just slide away. So I woke up moments later and there were 7 vultures around me. And I thought, oh my God, I didn't know I was that bad. And what they were doing is I was looking at them through half-opened eyes that were going, hop, 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 hop. They wanted, they were hungry. You see, I think I'm the center of the universe, and I think I'm a person who's worthy of respect. In fact, I want everybody not just to respect me, but to adore me. It started a long time ago when I was a baby. People adored me. They tickled me, they smiled at me, they talked to me. No, no one tickles me. And no one adores me. No one says goo goo gaga. No, there was a guy at the bus stop who said goo goo gaga. And leave that go. So, anyway, a couple miles more, I was able to drink some very refreshing water from a cold well. Anyway, a few days later, I was in this place and with no food. And a person came to me and he said, you've got to understand. I said, Prabhuji, I just don't think I can go on. I'm not cut out for this. I don't think I can do these physical austerities. It's just barefoot, 128 miles in the hot sun. I can't chant, I can't think. He said, what you've got to understand is that this will bring you to the point where you think you can't continue. And that will bring you to the point of prayer. Because unless you pray to get through this and to get to the other side, he said, there's no way that you can do this. You see? And I like to think that spiritual life is like this. You're brought to a point where you can't go anymore. And at that point, that's where you push through. If you give up at that point, you will have to come to that point in your life again and again and again until you learn the lesson. That here's a chance for you to surrender. So I said, thank you. And he said, besides, he said, this is Radharani's place. He said, Radharani doesn't want you to go hungry. He said, but your problem is that you're not asking anybody. He said, you're hungry, but you're not asking for help. I said, well, if I ask Krishna, he said, no, you ask Krishna's devotees. I said, okay. So the next place we came to was Balaram's place. Ramagat. And Ramagat is a wonderful place. It's where Balaram performed Ras Leela with his gopis. Krishna has his gopis. We've all seen the pictures, so I know it's true. Okay? But did you know that Balaram also has his gopis? So he was dancing in that place, and there's a beautiful temple there, where Balaram is a white deity of Balaram like this. He's got a cup, and every day the pujari fills this cup with honey. And the Mahaprasadam from that place, sometimes they just take and they pour it down your throat. Warm honey, beautiful. Where does the honey come from? You look outside the temple, because of course Balaram likes this honey drink. You look outside the temple, and there's a beehive as big as from the floor up to the ceiling. Huge. Thousands of bees buzzing around it. Anyway, I hadn't seen that at the time. But I learned the magic words. And the magic words are Bhavati Bhiksham Dehe. Bhavati Bhiksham Dehe. Or in Hindi, that's Sanskrit. In Hindi you have to say, Oh Ma. Kripa, what's it? Oh Ma, Kripa DJ. Prasad Kripa DJ. And it helps if you do the actions as well. So, cut to the next scene, and 3 minutes later, I'm sitting with a full meal of chas and sabji and rice and dal, and this is only 9 o'clock in the morning, and jaggery, and wonderful. So I was served a full breakfast with people around me and honoring me as a person that was at least giving it a go to walk in Balaram's footsteps. And I just think that on this occasion, Balaram's appearance day, we have to see ourselves as agents of mercy as well. Agents of, or should we say instruments, receivers of mercy and givers of mercy too. And the first thing is we have to receive it. So in receiving it, then we can give it. You cannot share something that you don't have. So we need these breakthrough moments. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says spiritual life does not flow easily. It flows like a snake, from side to side, side to side, side to side. You've all seen the. You said you've all seen the picture of Krishna with the blind singer, the elderly blind singer, Suradas. And Suradas writes a song. He says, "My dear Krishna," he says, "I'm trying to avoid you." He says, "I want you, but I'm trying to avoid you." This is the dilemma of the devotee, and he's giving voice to this. I want you, I really want to be a devotee, but at the same time, I'm trying to avoid you. This was a beautiful poem, written also by Vedanta Deshika in the south of India. He said, "My Lord, I'm just like a bird that's been captured by the bird catcher, who's tied a string around his leg." He said, "I'm flapping, trying to get away." He said, "But you're pulling on the string." This is the situation I'm in. You know, I've been caught because I'm attracted to you. I got close enough to be caught. You're pulling me towards you, but I'm flapping to get away. So Suradas is saying the same thing. He's saying, "My Lord," he said, "you're appearing before me here and here and here and giving me many opportunities to surrender to you. And I see that you're coming in my life in different ways." He says, this is the mercy of Krishna, that wherever you are, he comes to you in a particular way. All right, let's return. So, are we okay so far?
Wonderful.
So the other thing we find, one of the first villages that you come to is Madhuban. And Madhuban, of course, is the forest of honey. And this is where Dhruva Maharaj meditated and had the vision of Krishnagarbha, Vishnu. Narayan came to him. And if you go through that village, you reach Krishna Kund. And Krishna Kund is a place where Krishna took his flute and pushed it into the ground and made a lake. A lake there. He used to bring his cows to that place, and there's a beautiful deity of Balaram there. But, as all Gurukul children know, and you can get ready, because we're going to whirl a donkey. You know the song? You know the song? Okay, it goes like this. Take a deep breath. Okay, it's time for a song. In the forest of Talavan, Lord Krishna and killed the by whirling him around and around. The little song goes like this. You'll never forget this. Okay? One time they asked Karl Barth, the great European philosopher, who'd written this many books, millions of words, to sum up, something. There was 1,000 people gathered in the audience, and he just said, "God loves me." That's all he said. He'd written this many books about theology. He just said, "God loves me." Anyway, so you can reduce something very complicated to something simple. There we go. In the forest of Talavan, Lord Krishna and Balaram killed the Dhenukasura by whirling him around and around. Are you ready? Okay. 1, 2, 3. In the forest of Talavan, Lord Krishna and Balaram killed the Dhenukasura by whirling him around and around. Listen, I know you're grown-ups, but you're not going to remember this unless you do the actions. Okay, you've got to whirl the donkey demon around your head, because if you do that, you'll remember it. Because you look so silly doing it. I'm telling you, your body will remember the words if you do the actions. Okay, one more time. In the forest of Talavan, Lord Krishna and Balaram killed the Dhenukasura by whirling him around. it just gets better after this. So, there's a deity, a black marble deity of Balaram in that village where this happened, and he's 3.5 feet high. So you can see him if you go to that. And he's got his right hand raised in blessing. So if you do take the trouble to go and visit him, he's there. And his wife, Revati, is also there. And unfortunately, and this is something that you can help with, and I'm not making a pitch or an appeal for funding, but in the forest of Taliban, there's only one tal tree left. One tree left in the whole shebang. One tree that gives tal fruits. And all it would take is for someone to plant a tree and then to stop people cutting it down. That's the main thing. And it's kind of the situation of Vrindavan now is a situation which is analogous to our spiritual life. Lots of seeds being planted, lots of trees being cut down. Okay. So the biggest deity of Balaram in Vrindavan, and the only original presiding deity left, was installed by Krishna's grandson, Arjuna, some 4,900 years ago. And he's still there. And he is 6 foot 6 inches tall. Is there anyone here today who is 6 foot 6 inches tall? No, he's not. I can see that. He wishes. 6 foot 6 inches tall. And he's known as Dauji, the elder brother. So as you're walking towards Dauji, 6.5 feet tall, we sing another song, and it goes, Krishna Kanaya! Oh my gosh. Someone's been going to cheerleader school. Dauji Kabaya!
Krishna Kanaya!
Krishna Kanaya!
Dauji Kabaya!
Dauji Kabaya!
Krishna Kanaya!
Krishna Kanaya!
Dauji Kabaya!
We could go on all night like this. Fanatics, that's what we want. So, in his left hand, he has a cup for Varuni beverage. Now, near the, if you can imagine a swimming pool-sized lake, which is just outside the temple. This is called Shir Sagar Kund, the ocean of milk. Of course, you're getting this, it's Balaram, Sheshnag, ocean of milk. So the milk from 100,000 cows was brought to this lake, and the lake was filled up as an offering to Balaram. 100,000, milk from 100,000 cows. So one day the king just said, we're going to everybody milk your cow on this particular day. This is the power of a lot of people contributing something each. So just like you have a Janmashtami festival, okay, when everybody contributes a little something, everybody does a little something, and you all come together, you and your friends, great things can be achieved. Okay? We don't need heroes, we just need a lot of people doing something small, and great things can be done. So 100,000 cows was brought as an offering to Balaram. And later on, the deity was hidden in the lake, and then a great devotee had a dream, and that dream brought him to the lake. Okay. How long we got?
2 more hours.
Huh?
2 more hours.
2 more hours. I think we've got 4 minutes. We're finishing at 9, yeah?
5 minutes.
5 minutes, okay. Well, if you want to sum the story up, my favorite story, my favorite play must be the chess match. The chess match. You've all seen it, right? The chess match. Balaram has a chess match. And it doesn't go very well for Balaram. Okay, let's just read a little bit of it because I can't do Balaram's appearance day without the chess match. Please say it with me, all together. 1, 2, 3.
The chess.
Louder, please.
The
The chess match.
Okay, the chess match. Okay. Pradyumna, listen very carefully. You will tested afterwards. Pradyumna, the eldest son of Krishna, born of Rukmini, was Cupid himself. He was so beautiful and attractive that the daughter of Rukmi, namely Rukmavati, could not select any husband other than Pradyumna during her Swayamvar. Okay? Sometimes people say, oh, you Hindus, you have arranged marriages. Okay? Listen very carefully. This is a girl choosing a husband out of a whole room full of potential husbands. Could be a good TV show. But here, therefore, you don't know what I'm talking about? Like way over your head. Therefore, in that selection meeting, she garlanded Pradyumna in the presence of all the other princes. Cue a fight between the princes. When there was a fight among the princes, Pradyumna came out victorious, and therefore Rukmi was obliged to offer his beautiful daughter to Pradyumna. Although enmity always blazed in Rukmi's heart because of having been insulted by Krishna's kidnapping of his sister, Rukmini, Rukmi could not resist consenting to the marriage ceremony just to please Rukmini when his daughter selected Pradyumna as her husband. Okay, so that goes on. So then, the marriage ceremony, after a marriage ceremony, it's a time when everybody comes together, but there's, especially in a Gujarati marriage ceremony, okay, when the boy is coming, okay, the girl's family come together, they sing funny songs about the boy, okay, which if the boy is brought up in New York, he doesn't understand. But the family from Gujarat, especially the Moti Ma, she's singing, Are Bapri, he's got a big nose. Are Bapri, look at the size of those ears. He looks like Ganapati. Look at that belly. He could lose a few pounds. This is what they're all singing in Gujaratis. Anyway, so then afterwards, this friendly rivalry still remains, but they're going to have a little sport between themselves. The king of Kalinga was a friend of Rukmi's, okay? He's a friend of the father of the bride. And he gave him the ill advice to play chess with Balaram and thus defeat him in a bet. So even though you had to give your daughter, you can win something back from that family by exposing them, by winning a chess match. Among Kshatriya kings, gambling on chess was not uncommon. If someone challenged a Kshatriya to play chess, the Kshatriya could not refuse. Now, Balaram, Krishna's a good chess player, but Balaram is the drama. He's not a very good chess player. And King of Kalinga, he did this. I love the King of Kalinga. And his teeth. You gotta love the King of Kalinga. We all know what's going to happen to the King of Kalinga. So Rukmi was advised to retaliate against the family members of Krishna by challenging Balaram to play chess. Although he wasn't expert, Balaram was very enthusiastic in sporting activities. He accepted Rukmi's challenge and sat down to play. Betting was with gold coins, and Balaram first of all challenged with 100 coins. You can give me an ooh now. Ooh. Then 1,000 coins. Ooh. And then 10,000 coins. Ooh. Each time Balaram lost. Oh. And Rukmi was victorious. Ooh. You do very good. You're almost like an English audience. We'll teach you pantomime. Shri Balaram's losing the game was an opportunity for the king of Kalinga to criticize Krishna and Balaram. Thus the king of Kalinga was talking jokingly. Kids, get your teeth ready. And he was purposefully showing his teeth to Balaram. Because Balaram was the loser in the game. He was a little intolerant of the sarcastic, joking words. Cue the English accent of the king of Kalinga. I'm saying, you're a really bad chess player, I'm sure. Rukmi again challenged Balaram and made a bet of 100,000 gold coins. Ooh. But fortunately, this time Balaram won.
Yay!
Nonetheless, out of cunning, Rukmi claimed that Balaram was the loser and that he himself had won. Because of this lie, Balaramji became most angry with Rukmi. His agitation was so sudden and great that it appeared like a tidal wave in the ocean on a full moon day. Balaram's eyes are naturally reddish, and when he became agitated and angry, his eyes became more reddish. This time, he challenged and made a bet of 100 million gold coins. Woo! Again, Balaram was the winner, according to the rules of chess. But Rukmi again cunningly claimed that he had won. Rukmi appealed to the princes present, and he especially mentioned the name of the king of Kalinga. Okay. During this dispute, there was a voice from the sky, and it announced that for all honest purposes, Balaram was the actual winner of the game, and that he was being abused, and that the statement of Rukmi that he had won was absolutely false. Wow. So it goes on, and it goes on. And immediately, Balaram became as agitated as burning cinders. He immediately took up his club in his hand, and without further talk, struck Rukmi on the head. From that call the police. From that one blow, Rukmi fell down immediately and was dead and gone. Thus Rukmi was killed by Balaram on that auspicious occasion of Aniruddha's marriage. These things are not very uncommon in Kshatriya society. Okay. However, the king of Kalinga, afraid that he would be the next one attacked, fled from the scene. Before he could escape even a few steps, however, Balaram immediately captured him, and because the king had always shown his teeth, while criticizing Balaram and Krishna, Balaram broke all the king's teeth with his club. What a religion. The other princes. Children, block your ears, please. The other princes supporting the king of Kalinga and Rukmi. So far tonight, we've had the death of a donkey by Willie. The death of a man who happened to be just a good player of chess. And the knocking out of a man's teeth who happened to have an English accent. Balaram, the other princes supporting the king of Kalinga and Rukmi were also captured. They did not try to retaliate, but thought it wise to run away from the bloody scene. Yes, very good. We have so many, my dear friends, we have so many serious subject matters that we could talk about. I think it's worth talking about this contrast between Krishna, who actually was petitioning. Krishna petitions Arjuna to fight in the battle of Kurukshetra. This is a very strange thing, that the people who talk about the battles between the Lord and these kings and the God who speaks to Arjuna actually produces a community of people who wouldn't even hurt a fly. Have you ever seen a devotee in a temple room? There's a fly. Out comes the piece of paper. Right? There's 20 people, all stop chanting japa, all to look at the devotee that gets one fly. Have you seen it? It's like, you get one fly, and he very patiently goes to the window and very gently flicks it. It's wonderful. So here's a group of people who read a book about a battle of Kurukshetra, and a person who doesn't even like donkeys, but at the same time it produces people who are very peaceful. But we find other people who read books of peace, they can actually get rather agitated with each other. So the solution is this. The solution is that Krishna and Balaram are the supreme personalities of Godhead, and they alone have all power. And when you see yourself as their servant, you can hear about their activities and you become purified. You hear about someone else fighting and you become contaminated with the desire to be the hero. This is the difference, because we go from the plane of exploitation to the plane of service. in that realm, in that spiritual realm, there is no one there who wants to exploit Krishna. There's no one there who doesn't want to be on Balaram's team. Everybody is the servant of the servant of the servant. And you can only go there if you cultivate that in this world. In this world, it's extremely difficult. It's extremely difficult. Therefore, we try in 100 ways, 1,000 ways, in 1,000,000 ways over our life to be the servant of the servant of the servant. And one day that we do it, we gather together and we talk about this very mystical person. Krishna's elder brother is Dauji, is Balaram. So, one thing you may not know is that the farming community, unlike the Kshatriya community, they did not have access to all the different weaponry, but they did have access to pestle and mortar. And a pestle, of course, is a big stick, and at the bottom is your haldi root. And if you want to make dry haldi, you pound it like this, long stick like this. So the first weapon of choice is this pestle called a mushala. And if you look at the deity of Balaram as he's standing by the side of his sister Subhadra in Jagannath Puri, of course all of you can go into Jagannath Puri temple, and I cannot. All of you can go and I cannot because I'm English. They don't like English people, but they love all of you. So you can go and you'll see Balaram has this mushala on his fist. So sometimes the cowherd men they would use. So ayuta means weapon, and this mushala. And so he's a mushala ayuta, but he's also carrying a plow. And a plow has a long stick, but it also has a curved piece that goes in the ground. And it's called a hala. So Balaram is also called Haladhara or Halayuda. Haladhara is carrying. And his plow has a name. You know what the name of Balaram's plow? It's called Balachitta. Balachitta. You didn't know that, did you? Now we know these things. So I've said one thing in this class, now we know. But here's just a final thing. When Balaram refused to take part in the battle of Kurukshetra, because, for the same reason as Arjuna didn't want to fight his teachers, Balaram didn't want to be in a situation where he'd have to fight Duryodhana. He actually really liked him, although it seems strange, but Balaram liked Duryodhana. And when Balaram came back after doing the Tirthayatra all over India while the battle of Kurukshetra was going on, he saw Bhima and Duryodhana fighting. This broke his heart. Because not only did he find out so many of his friends had died in the battle of Kurukshetra, but he also, one of his best friends, Duryodhana, was fighting with one of the Pandavas who he know were loved by his brother Krishna. Put him in an awful situation. But then Bhima defeated Duryodhana by a blow to the groin. And why? Why? Huh? Huh? Yes, because he said, come on, Draupadi, sit on my lap. And then Bhima took a vow and he said, I will kill that man. I will kill that man for saying that to my wife. And so, many years later, 13 years later, 13 and a half years later, we find that the vow, and Krishna said to Balaram, he said, just be peaceful. He said, he's a Kshatriya. The Kshatriya made a vow. He's carrying out his vow. Because Balaram was threatening to kill Bhima. Who would have won? Bhima and Balaram. Who would have won? We don't know, and we never will know, because it never took place, so Krishna said. Alright, so Srila Prabhupada established the temple of Krishna Balaram in Ramanreti. Ramanreti means the pleasurable sands, where those two cowherd boys would take the calves You can still go there today. The Krishna Balaram is really the center of our international society for Krishna consciousness. I know Namras likes to go there at least once a year. It recharges him for the year to come. If you could go there, it's good. At least once in your life, I believe, and I would say this, wouldn't I, being a soft-footed Englishman, that I believe that it is good for everybody to do the Vrindavan, Rajmandala, Yatra. It is not easy. You will have lots of tears, and they won't be tears of joy. There'll be tears of, you'll be thinking of New Jersey, you'll be thinking of old Jersey, you'll be thinking of any Jersey. Jersey cow, anything. Jersey and the Channel Islands, you'll be thinking of anything but, sorry, that was an English joke. But you'll be thinking of anywhere apart from where you're walking. But the spiritual benefit that you make by doing this is legendary. And Prabhupada told us that Krishna and Balaram were very important for this particular movement because Krishna and Balaram are Gaura and Nitai. This is the thing. And just as we never forget Balaram if we are remembering Krishna, we never forget Nityananda Prabhu if we're remembering Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we're always counseled to do this. Why? Because we are Kanishta Adhikaris and we can't handle more than one idea at a time. Okay? We can't handle more. So Krishna's Krishna, somebody else. But we are cancelled. Don't forget Balaram. We are cancelled. Yes, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Don't forget Nityananda. It's too much for me. Too much for me. No, Gaura Nitai. Therefore, Gaura and Nitai, they always appear together throughout our movement. So Krishna and Balaram become Gaura and Nitai. And together, this is the divine double act that will save the world in Kali Yuga, because together, their names are together. If you adjust the theology slightly, their names are together in the very mantra that we chant on a daily basis. They asked Prabhupada, they said, what does the Rama mean? Is it Ram, as in Sita Ram? Is it Radha Raman, as Krishna enjoyed? Or is it Rama meaning Balarama? He said, all of them. All of them. So these two names together we chant from the beginning of the universe when Lord Brahma was asked by Narada Muni, was it the Kalishantarana Upanishad? He said, these names, this will dry up the clouds in the heart, consciousness, just like the mist, the morning mist is dried up by the sun. The sun will rise in the landscape of the heart and destroy all those mists. What is the mist? Is doubt. Doubt. I'm not sure. I want to be a devotee of Krishna, but I'm not sure. And we hold on to the I'm not sure for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. Another life, another life. We hold on to it for a very long time. So we have to bring ourselves to that point where we say, I don't trust, but I'm going to trust. I don't believe, but I'm going to believe. I'm going to place myself in a situation where I have to stretch. No more society for coziness. I have to have a society for consciousness. So we ask Lord Balaram this day, please guide me. The best way to do that is to rise very early in the morning and put your right hand in the air like this. It's an ancient mudra. Your right hand in the air like this. Your left hand in the air like this. And we say, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,